All right, so this is going to be the review for the systems test, and I'm actually going to do all the A and the B problems today. So for the first one, it says solve the system of equations. It doesn't tell us how to solve it, so you have any of the options. But in this case, you see how the x's are lined up, the y's are lined up, and our numbers are lined up. This one is set up for elimination. And with elimination, what you're looking for is for two numbers to zero each other out or cancel each other out, which means you want the positive and the negative of the same number. So if you look at this one here, notice we have a -4 and a +4. Since those two cancel each other out, we can go ahead and add these two equations together. So -4x plus 4x is going to be 0, which is what we wanted. -2y plus 8y is going to be +6y. -12 plus -24 is going to be -36. Now, if it's 0 plus something, that 0 just kind of goes away. So I just have to divide everything by a 6 now, which means y equals -6. Now from here, I can pick either one of these equations, and I'm going to plug in this y equals -6 to find x. So I'm going to take this bottom one just because there are less negatives. So 4x plus 8y is -24. And we know that y equals -6, so I'm going to replace that y with a -6. So we get 4x plus 8 times -6 equals -24. Then I just solve this for x, so I'm going to multiply the 8 and the -6, which gives me -48. Then I can add 48 to both sides. And I'm left with 4x equals -24 plus 48 would be +24. And from here, I can just divide everything by a +4, which would mean x equals +6. And don't forget to write your answer at the end as an ordered pair. The x's come first, so it would be +6. Then your y's would be a -6. So 6, -6. All right, B, we're going to be doing the same thing. So I'm looking to see which method would be easiest here. Everything is lined up, so that tells me elimination is going to be the easiest. And then from there, I just add these together. And the reason we can go ahead and add these together is because the -6 and the +6 would cancel each other out. So if things don't cancel each other out, we are going to have to multiply, but in this case, they cancel out, so we can skip that step. So -6x plus 6x is 0. 5y plus 4y is 9y. 1 plus -10 would be -9. The 0 goes away, so I just divide everything by a 9, which means y would equal -1. Then I pick an equation. I'm going to pick the bottom one. So 6x plus 4y equals -10. Since this is y equals, I'm going to replace this y with whatever this number is, so in this case, a -1. So I get 6x plus 4 times -1 equals -10. Then I solve this, so I get 6x, 4 times -1 is -4, equals -10. Add 4 to both sides, and I get 6x equals -10 plus 4 is -6. Divide everything by 6, which means x equals -1. So our final answer here is the x is -1 and the y is -1. All right, now on to number 2. So we're going to solve this system of equations. And this time it's not set up for elimination, but instead it's going to be set up for substitution. Because I have y equals something here, and then the other one isn't solved for a variable. So I'm going to circle this 6x minus 11. And since it's equal to y, so whatever variable you're given here, that tells you which variable you're going to replace in your equation. So we're going to take the second equation, so negative 2x minus 3y equals negative 7. And I'm going to replace the y with 6x minus 11. And I keep that negative 3 there. Okay, then I'm going to distribute. So I'm going to solve this for x. So distribute that negative 3. And I get negative 2x. Negative 3 times positive 6x is negative 18x. Negative 3 times negative 11 is positive 33. That equals negative 7. Now I look and I have like terms on the left side. So negative 2x plus negative 18x was going to become negative 20x plus 33 equals negative 7. Trying to solve for x, so now I have to get rid of this positive 33 by subtracting 33. So negative 20x equals negative 40. Then I divide everything by negative 20, which gives us x equals positive 2. Now from here, I pick one of the equations. The top one is easier in this case. So y equals 6x minus 11. And since we just found out that x equals 2, I'm going to replace this x with a 2. So y equals 6 times 2 minus 11. Then I just simplify this. So y equals 6 times 2 is 12 minus 11. So y would equal 1, which means our final answer would be 2, 1. Now 2b is going to be basically the same thing. So again, it's y equals, going to take this 5x minus 7. Since it's y equals, I'm going to be replacing the y. If it were x equals, I'd be replacing the x. So it just depends on whatever this is equal to. So I have negative 3x minus 2y equals negative 12. Replace the y with 5x minus 7. Then I have parentheses here, so I have to distribute. So negative 3x. Negative 2 times positive 5 is negative 10x. Negative 2 times negative 7 is positive 14. That's going to equal negative 12. I have like terms, so negative 3 and negative 10 become negative 13. And I'm solving for x, so I want to get rid of this positive 14 by subtracting 14. So negative 13x equals negative 26. Divide everything by negative 13, which means x equals positive 2. Then I'm going to take the top equation because it's easier. So y equals 5x minus 7. And I'm going to replace that x with what we found x to equal, which was 2. So y equals 5 times 2 minus 7, which means y equals 10 minus 7. So y would equal 3. Which means our answer is 2, 3. Because the x comes first, the y comes second. All right, now on to number 3. So this one we're going to be solving using graphing. So it gives us a graph. And I just have to graph both of these lines to see where they intersect. So for this first one, that's going to be in red. Notice the y-intercept is at -4. So I'm going to go to the y-axis to -4. That's where my first point is going to go. Now the slope is the number in front of x. So in this case, it's a 3, which is really 3 over 1, which means I go up 3, right 1. Then up 3 again, right 1, up 3, right 1. So that right there would be my first line. Now the second line I'm going to do in blue. My intercept in this case is the +3, so my y-axis, I put my first point at 3. Then my slope here is -1 over 2. So that means since it's negative, I go down 1, right 2, down 1, right 2. Or you could go up 1, left 2, up 1, left 2. Then when we connect those, you can see that we have an intersection. The intersection is going to be right here at this point. And what we need is the x and the y value of this. So I'm going to draw my line down till I get to the x-axis. That tells us our x value is going to be 2. If I drew a line straight over, I can see that my y value is also going to be 2. So for 3a, we're going to do the same thing. I'm going to start with this top one. Notice the y-intercept here is -3, which means it's going to be a -3. That's where I'm going to start. Then the slope is 1/3. +1/3, so I go up 1, right 3. Or you could go down 1, left 3. Then I just connect my points. Now for the blue line, my intercept is going to be a +1. Then there's no number here for the slope, but remember if there's no number in front of x, it's really a 1. So in this case, it would be a -1 over 1, which means down 1, right 1, down 1, right 1, and you keep going. Or up 1, left 1. Then we just connect our line. And again, we're just looking for where these intersect. So it'd be this point right here. You always go up to your x or up or down. That shows you that our x value is a +3. Then you go over to your y value is -2. So 3, -2 would be our solution to this system. Okay, number 4. We're going to solve this system. You can again use any method you want. And in this case, it is set up for elimination because everything is in line with each other. But notice this time, things don't cancel each other out right away. So we're going to have to make an opposite here. So let's look at just the 4x. So something that would cancel out with 4x would be -4x. So we're going to multiply this entire top equation. We want this 2x to become a -4x, which means I can multiply it all by -2. So -2 times 2x becomes -4x. -2 times 3y would be -6y. And then that's going to equal -2 times 10 would be -20. Then on the bottom, it's going to stay the same. So it's going to be 4x plus 6y equals +20. Now notice our x's cancel each other out now, -4x and +4x. So we're going to add these together. -4x plus 4x is 0. -6x plus 6y is 0. And that's going to equal negative 20 plus 20 is 0. So notice here, all of our variables are gone, and we're just left with 0 equals 0. So anytime you're left with 0 equals 0, or these two numbers are the same, the answer is going to be infinitely many solutions. So that essentially means that these two are the same exact line. All right, for 4b, we're going to do the same thing. So elimination again, since it's all lined up. But it doesn't cancel out on this one either right away. So we're going to have to multiply one of the equations by something. So let's say I wanted to cancel out this positive 12x. I would need this negative 3x to be a negative 12x. So to turn this negative 3 into a negative 12, I had to multiply everything by a 4. So 4 times negative 3 is negative 12x. 4 times y is 4y. 4 times negative 9 would be negative 36. The bottom equation is going to stay the same. Don't mind that music if you can hear it. The janitors are playing extra loud music. All right, so now the negative 12 and the positive 12 will cancel each other out, so we can go ahead and add them together. So negative 12 plus 12 equals 0. 4 plus negative 4 equals 0. Negative 36 plus 24 equals negative 12. So notice in this case, we have 0 equals negative 12. Now this is not true. 0 does not equal negative 12. So anytime you get two numbers that are not the same and all of your variables are gone, the answer is no solution. All right, on to number 5. This time we're going to write a system of equations for this problem. And it says Blake has a total of 13 coins in his pocket, consisting of dimes and nickels only. He has 3 more dimes than he does nickels. So let's go ahead and define our variables. D for dimes and N for nickels. So we know in total he has 13 coins. That means the number of dimes plus the number of nickels would be 13 coins total. So D plus N equals 13. Now, this says he has 3 more dimes than he does nickels. So we know dimes is going to equal the amount of nickels he has plus 3. So that is saying the dimes is the amount of nickels plus 3, meaning he has 3 more dimes than nickels. And that right there is our equation. So D plus N equals 13, and D equals N plus 3. Okay, 5b says Braylon has a total of 19 Skittles consisting of red and green only. He has 5 more red than he does green. So G is going to be for green. R is going to be for red. So just like before, he has a total of 19 Skittles. So G plus R is going to equal 19. And he has 5 more red than he does green. So there's more red. And the red is going to be the amount of green he had plus 5. So that right there would be our system of equations. So whichever one is more is the one it's equal to. So more dimes and more red. 6a. This gives us the graph. We're just finding the solution. So you already kind of done one like this, but here we have our solution. Right here where they intersect. Then our x is going to come first, so I draw a line up to my x-axis. The x is a 3. Draw my line over. My y value would be negative 2. So 3, negative 2 is our solution. Same thing here. So here's my solution where they intersect. And then I'm going to see what my x value is. It's right here at -1. Then my y value I draw my line over to, it's also at -1. So that is my solution. All right, 7, we need to draw a sketch of a graph with no solution. So no solution, the lines can't touch and they should never be able to touch. So we've talked about this, they are parallel lines. So one example of this would be this line. Then parallel means it has the same slope. So it would be something like that. So you see how these two are parallel? They never touch. They will never touch, not even off of this graph. So a non-example, this is not an example of no solution. It would be like this and this. So notice they don't touch while they're on this graph, but eventually they would touch, which means they do have a solution, it's just not shown. So we could see if I extended this one here and I extended this one here, they would have a solution right there. So no solution means they have to be parallel. So completely parallel to each other. And remember, that means the same slope. All right, for 7b, we need one of infinite solutions. So in this case, we just have any line. And remember with this one, it's going to be the exact same line on top of it. So infinite solution, they pretty much just look like they are one line. All right, 9a, we have the system here, and it wants to know the y value. So it gives us the x value, tells us x equals -1. So all we have to do is take this -1, and since it's x equals -1, we're going to be replacing the x in this equation. So we have 8x plus y equals -16. Since x equals -1, I'm replacing the x right here with a -1. So 8 times -1 plus y is -16. 8 times -1 is -8. And then I'm solving for y, so I want to get rid of this -8. To do that, I just add 8 to both sides, which means y equals -8. Same thing for this one. We know that x equals 9. So I'm going to replace that x with a 9. So that would become 4 times 9 plus 9y equals 9. 4 times 9 would be -36. Then I want to get rid of this -36, so I'm going to add 36 to both sides. So then I get 9y equals 36 plus 9 would be 45. Then divide everything by 9, and y would equal 5. So there we go. All right, number 10. We're going to graph the system of inequalities. So remember, this is where we have dotted or solid lines, and we have to shade. But we're still going to start off these the same way. So for this first one, we're going to start with our intercept at -2. So that would be right here. And then notice our slope is a negative. So that's really a -1, which means down 1, right 1. Or up 1, left 1. And remember, if they're like this, that's dotted. And if it were like that, that would be a solid line. So for this first one, there is no little line underneath an inequality, so it's going to end up being a dotted line. So dotted. And then we do have to shade. So I'm going to see this one is y is greater than. That means I'm going to shade above. So I'm going to shade lightly because remember we're shading twice here. The second one I'm going to do in purple. And here my y-intercept is at positive 2. And then my slope is negative 5 over 1. So that'll be down 5, right 1. And then again, this does not have that equal to line underneath, so it's going to be a dotted line. And this one is y is less than, so I'm going to shade below the line. And what we're looking for is where these two shaded areas overlap. So that would be in this little spot right here. The rest of that doesn't matter. So if it's multiple choice, you're only looking for the one that has the overlapping part shaded. Then we need to see which ones are solutions out of these ones they gave us. So let's try 0, 0. So 0, 0. That is in our shaded area, so that would be a solution. I can't tell if that's just because my line is drawn bad, but I think that's a solution. Next would be 2, 3. That is only in our shaded red area, so it has to be in both to be a solution, so not 2, 3. Negative 1, negative 1. That one actually falls on a dotted line. So remember, dotted line is not a solution, so not negative 1, negative 1. Lastly, we have negative 3, 2. So that one is in our double shaded area. That one is a solution. All right, next we have 10b. So we're still going to graph these like normal. My y-intercept of this first one is a positive 2. And my slope is 1/2, so that means I go up 1, right 2. Or down 1, left 2. Then this has that little equal to line, so it's going to be a solid line in this case. But its y is less than or equal to, so I'm shading below. All right, the second one, my y-intercept is negative 3. Then my slope is negative 2, so down 2, right 1, or up 2, left 1. This one does not have that equal to line, so it's a dotted. And its y is less than, so I'm going to shade below it. We want the double shaded area, so in this case, it would be right here. So that is our solution set. Now let's try out our point. So 0, 4. That is not in either shaded area, so that is not a solution. 2, 0. That's only in our red, not a solution. Negative 3, 0. That one is in our double shaded area, so that is a solution. And lastly, negative 4, 0. That one is on a solid line, so that is also a solution. So solid line is a solution, dotted line, not a solution. All right, last one. It says 10 again, but this should be 11. So we're going to identify which of these statements are true, and we do have to graph each of these lines. So I'm going to start off with equation A. That's negative 1/2 x minus 7. That means my y-intercept is negative 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And my slope is negative 1/2, so down 1, right 2. or up 1, left 2. All right, equation B, we have y equals 3. That's going to be a horizontal line at 3. So there's 3. I'm going to make it a horizontal line. C, we have y equals 5. So that's going to be right here. Another horizontal line. And last, we have x equals -3. So that's a vertical line at -3. Oops. That'd be like that. So we need to see which of these is true. So the first part says A and D have no solution. So A is the red one. D is the green one. So these obviously have a solution right there. So the first one, not true. Okay, equation D and the y-axis have no solution. So this right here is our y-axis, and the green one is D. So those are parallel to each other. That means they do have no solution. So 2 is one of our answers. 3 says B and C are parallel. That's purple and blue. Notice these two are parallel. They never touch. So 3 is also a solution. And A and D have infinite solutions. So that basically means the red and the green should be the same line. Red and green are not the same line. So 2 and 3 only. All right, now we're going to do the same thing again. So equation A is going to be our red one. The y-intercept's at -6. So that's going to be down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then my slope is going to be a -1/2. So it'd be down 1 over 2. We keep going. Or it would be up 1, left 2. So there's our red line equation A. B is going to be y equals 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Remember, this is a horizontal line. C is going to be y equals 7. So there's 7, another horizontal line. And then D is going to be x equals -4. That's a vertical line. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, now I need to look at this again. So A and D have no solution. Green and red, right here, they do have a solution. So 1 is not correct. D and the y-axis have no solution. D is going to be x equals -4. That's this green one. The y-axis is here. Those are parallel, so 2 is true. B and C is purple and blue. Those two never touch. They are parallel, so 3 is true. A and D have infinite solutions. Red and green like before, those are not the same line, so it's not true. So 2 and 3 would be our answer. And that is the whole review.